Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 271 for November 22nd, 2022. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On today's show, the Toronto Argonauts are Grey Cup champions. And could Detroit be the next hub city in the USFL? In this week's history lesson, we talk about 6 times when NFL games had to be moved due to inclement weather. But I'm not here by myself. Across the table from me, as always, is my son Adam.
Okay, so I never know what I'm going to start off with. You know, what witty, funny, fun thing, running gag's going to...
No preparation on your part.
No, but you just hand-delivered one. How do you say inclement?
Inclement.
Inclement.
I've heard it both ways.
No, I've just realized you say it's stupid. So what a way to start off this. I was like, seriously, as soon as that happened, I was like, well, there's the gem for the day, everybody.
Inclement weather. It's
inclement.
It's fine either way.
Inclement? Come on now. Potato.
Hey, if there's an English teacher
tomato,
out there,
tomato.
We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, which we just added this past week.
You sure you don't say it Amazon?
No, Amazon. And YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of this show, as well as other selected videos. So let's begin today's show with Adam and the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right. Normally we would start things off with the NFL, but as you heard off the top, we have a Grey Cup game to talk about. This is what's going to lead the show today. The Toronto Argonauts are your 2022 Grey Cup champions. Congratulations to them. I am even rocking a Toronto shirt today, which you could see on our picks video, which should be up sooner rather than later. But let's start off and let's recap what happened in this game. The Toronto Argonauts defeated those Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the two-time defending champions, 24-23. This is the first time these two teams have met in the Grey Cup since the 1958 Mud Bowl game.
1950, not 1950.
Sorry, 1950. I just misread it. Mm-hmm. It was a close game from the start. Winnipeg led at that point 10-7 going into the half. Then in the fourth quarter, Winnipeg quarterback Janarian Grant,
wide receiver.
Oh, sorry, man. I just can't read
See,
today.
It's karma. You jumped in my case right from the start, and now you're setting yourself up.
I'm just used to you always talking about a quarterback to start. Winnipeg wide receiver Janarian Grant. At least I had his name right.
Yep, that's good.
Returned a punt 102 yards. Are you sure that wasn't meters? For a touchdown, giving the Blue Bombers a 23-14 lead. Hope was bleak there in Toronto, but it was quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson of those Argonauts who had suffered a dislocated thumb in the fourth quarter, making things even more bleak for our beloved Argonauts.
That's who I was rooting for. Was Argonauts.
He was then replaced by quarterback Chad Kelly, who is playing in his first CFL season. How about that for storybook stuff?
Yep.
He is the nephew, it just so happens, of former Buffalo Bills great quarterback Jim Kelly. That's right, that Jim Kelly, not the other Jim Kelly that Randy likes to talk about. Chad Kelly, yeah, you know. Chad Kelly led the team on a drive that resulted in a 24-23 lead for the Argonauts within 3 minutes and 24 seconds remaining in that game. Toronto later attempted a 42-yard field goal that would have been the one to put them up by 4 points, but it was blocked with 2:09 remaining. Then, with 52 seconds left in the game, Winnipeg with the ball attempted a 47-yard field goal to take the lead, but that too was blocked, preserving the win for Toronto and denying the Blue Bombers a third straight CFL title. This was Toronto's 18th, that's right, 1-8 Grey Cup since 1984. They've had 18 of these puppies.
No, 1914.
1914.
Yes,
Damn, I'm dyslexic.
their 18th.
Their 18th cup since 1914. That is incredible.
Yes.
Since 1991, though, Toronto has won every Grey Cup game they have played in, which is 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
And you can check out these awesome, amazing, fun highlights on CFL.ca.
You know, I watched the game. I watched the whole
You
game.
did. You watched the whole thing. I caught some
You
bits
caught
of it.
some of it.
And then I caught the blocked field goal highlights,
Right.
which were
back-to-back
just
block
nuts.
field goals.
Just nuts.
Unbelievable. And but yeah, I mean, I had so much fun going over these highlights because I didn't think, I don't need to watch the highlights because I saw the game, but I caught so many things watching the highlights, and man, there were some great plays in this game, back and forth, and oh my god,
it seemed like this was a classic. Just
yes.
I mean, as soon as it was over, the storyline there, you had the underdog Argonauts,
Yep.
but with that history of they haven't lost a Grey Cup since
Yep.
'91, since they've been,
Yep,
if
they
they go to it, they usually win it.
Yep.
But then you had the juggernaut Winnipeg Blue Bombers, two-time champions.
I totally
literally
expected
looking
them
like
to win.
they could have gone undefeated this year. Looked like they could have made 3 straight titles.
Yep.
It was I won't say a David and Goliath, but it was like Goliath and Hercules. I don't know. I can't come up with analogies at the top of my head.
No, it was.
But
it
it
really,
seemed like a very good game. When I was
Yeah.
watching, I was shocked. Even though Toronto was like within a field goal, I think at that point when I was watching, I was still shocked at how they were hanging with Winnipeg. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, at least we got a game. Like I
Right.
still didn't expect Toronto to win, but I was like, at least they're hanging with Winnipeg, making this a game.
Yeah.
And then to see that the end of that was incredible.
Yeah, like I said, it was a close game all the way through. Toronto took a 3-0 lead, and then they got a rouge from Winnipeg, so 4-0. So it was like within a touchdown the whole game long, and that ending was just crazy. Listen to some of these stats here. For Toronto, it was quarterback McLeod Bethel Thompson completing 15 passes for 203 yards, no touchdowns, while Chad Kelly, when he came in, he completed just 4 passes for 43 yards, but he had a great run in that final drive to keep the drive alive, and he didn't have to do much, but he did exactly what he needed to do to get the team and get them to score a touchdown and take the lead, and then they hung on from there. Let's see, where was I here?
Running back A.J. Ouellette carried the ball 6 times for 24 yards and scored 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
While wide receiver Cameron Phillips led the receivers with 4 catches for 96 yards. The Toronto defense also recorded 4 sacks during the game.
Yeah, I couldn't believe they got to Zach Collaros 4 times in that game. It was great. They were playing out of their minds. For Winnipeg, Zach Collaros, quarterback, completed 14 passes for 183 yards, no touchdowns, but he also threw an interception towards the end that really sealed their fate. Quarterback Dakota Prukup came in on short yardage plays and scored 2 rushing touchdowns. Running back Brady Oliveira ran the ball 15 times for 82 yards, but no touchdowns. And wide receiver Dalton Schoen caught 3 passes for 78 yards and no touchdowns. All your big players, your quarterbacks, your wide receivers, didn't score any touchdowns except for Dakota Prukup, who came in and rushed, you're on the 1-yard line, they bring him in, he runs in for a touchdown.
Right.
So, it was a crazy, crazy game. Let's see. Toronto linebacker Henoch Muamba was named the MVP of the game as well as the most valuable Canadian player. That's been
good for him.
I forget how long it's been since. I think it's like only the second one in Grey Cup history to win both. And man, he was so emotional. He was crying. He had his little girl on stage with him. It was a great moment because he was just shocked. He was shocked to get the first award to be MVP and then to be named most valuable Canadian in the game was just icing on the cake for him. So that was a great moment to watch. They didn't include that in the highlights, but you can probably find that somewhere on TV. He had 3 tackles in the game, 1 pass deflection, and a crucial interception late in the 4th quarter. That's the one that really sealed it for him. The 11-year CFL veteran was drafted by Winnipeg in 2011 and won a Grey Cup with that team in his rookie season. This was his 2nd Grey Cup win, so congratulations to him. The Toronto Argonauts end the season with a record of 13-7, while the Winnipeg Blue Bombers ended 16-4. Attendance at the game was 33,350 at Mosaic Stadium in Regina, Saskatchewan, and next year's game is going to be played in Hamilton, Ontario. Should be a great time in Hamilton next year too, and then the year after that they're going to British Columbia,
which I'm advocating that the world of football goes.
We should start looking at getting tickets, getting a passport, unless we want to drive, which I don't want to. But we could, got 2 years to get our passports and go take in a Grey Cup game.
As the Beastie Boys would say, no sleep till BC, or however that song goes.
I have no idea.
It's no sleep till Brooklyn, but we're going to Canada, so I retrofitted it.
Yeah, but no, a great game. just a really satisfying ending. Like I said, all along I was rooting for Toronto, but boy, I really thought that Winnipeg was going to walk away with this one. I thought they were a team of destiny. Congratulations, Toronto Argonauts, on winning your 18th Grey Cup game.
Heck yeah. Love to see it. So, yeah, that's it for the CFL. Another season in the books.
Yep. It's kind of sad when there's no more CFL.
It does
games.
bum me out that the CFL just kind of ends.
No more can I put two games on back to back. You got the Lions game.
Well, you
and
still could.
And
There's
a
just be
CFL
two NFL
game.
games now.
Yeah, I know, but it's not the same.
Well, speaking of the NFL, though, we're going to move on to our NFL. It was Week 11 this week, and the week started off with the Thursday night game, which saw the Tennessee Titans go to Green Bay to play the Green Bay Packers. I was a little shocked that Green Bay wore their all-whites at home, but I guess that's something new they've been doing. I mean, I think Detroit, they did that against Detroit. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, the most important thing here is that Green Bay got their butts handed to them as the Tennessee Titans, behind Derrick Henry, defeated them 27-17. Aaron Rodgers, after saying they weren't dead yet, I think they're dead now. I hope they're dead now. But, yeah, so thank you, Tennessee Titans, for the victory over our NFC North rivals.
Yes, definitely.
All right, then moving on to Sunday, the Atlanta Falcons defeated another NFC North rival, the Chicago Bears, 27-24. The Bears were up in this one, but Cordell Patterson had that 108-yard record-breaking kickoff return for a touchdown, a record tying, I guess. But it was a great play for him. That's his ninth kickoff return for a touchdown in his career. He's been wanting that record really bad, and he earned that one. Oh, if you did not see that highlight, go check that one out. That one was pretty good. Let's see. The Baltimore Ravens defeated the Carolina Panthers in a bit of a snooze fest, 13-3. And then we're going to go up to Detroit, where the Buffalo Bills defeated the Cleveland Browns 31-23. Yes, that's right. In between our last podcast and this, it was announced that the game for the Bills-Browns would be moved to Detroit, while Detroit would go on the road to go play in New York, and we'll get to that one in a second. But, yes, so the Bills made Ford Field their home, and boy, oh boy, did their fans show up. 52,146 people were in attendance at that game. One of my favorite videos, though, was a Lions fan watching the game in person there, Bills and Browns. But he had the Lions game on his cell phone watching that. That was
I did see that.
That was a pretty good one. But also, tickets were only $10 to $30 for people, which, on the short notice, and because it was on Thursday they announced it.
Yeah.
And then Friday, I think they put tickets on sale. So 56,000 tickets were sold. So,
yeah, I'd been wondering that all week long,
Yeah.
and I looked that up today to see, what did the tickets go for? $10 to $30.
Not bad for a game that's not the actual hometown team, but man, they looked like they filled that stadium up pretty good.
Yeah.
It looked pretty filled, even though it was only 52, about 12,000 short of filling out Ford Field as normal, or their full capacity. I would say normal capacity for a Lions game, because we all know that it hasn't been full.
It holds
capacity.
65,000.
65,000, but I mean, good for them. And then we also saw that the Bills donated some money.
I was going to do that later on.
Well, we're talking about it right now. So,
all right, let me scroll down here.
Yeah, bring that one up. We're on the subject
One
real
less thing
quick.
we can talk about later.
There you go.
Yeah, the Buffalo Bills are donating $20,000 to the Detroit Lions Foundation, and they also sent Tim Hortons coffee and donuts breakfast to the team facility for their employees to have breakfast.
For the Lions?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the other crazy part about this story was that the Ford Field was hosting some sort of carnival thing. Like, they had
oh, yeah.
They had all the rides up. They had the Ferris wheel inside Ford Field. It looked really cool. Mm-hmm. But then the employees who were asked, hey, could you guys work a bunch of overtime this weekend to try to convert all this stuff?
Get all that out of here. Get the field ready to play.
Get the field ready to go for a Sunday game, instead of thinking they have till Thursday to get everything right. So the time lapse of that was incredible. They did it they said they cleared it in a record time for them. So good that, what I appreciated was following the Twitter. Everything around this was great on Twitter, because you saw, even Dan Campbell came out and gave his appreciation for the staff who had to work all that overtime, just to get that prep for a game that wasn't a Lions game. And then you had the Buffalo Bills and the Lions kind of tweeting back and forth like, hey, Buffalo, we left important phone numbers next to the phone. Don't break any tables while you're here.
Right.
So there's a lot of fun back and forth. I love that when the social media teams kind of get that back and forth. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. And then the Bills obviously kind of photoshopped their own names in the end zones and their logo in the middle of the field, since Detroit there wasn't enough time for them to put any Bill stuff up, but it was fun.
Yeah, I did see another video where they were leaving the Bills' social media. They were leaving the locker room, and they were turning out the lights and locking the door, saying we'll see you in a few days or something.
Oh,
like
really?
that.
I hadn't seen that yet. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, because they gave the Bills the visitors' locker room,
right?
Since I guess that's where the Bills will be
right
in a couple of days. So the Browns got the Lions' locker room.
I think they left a lot of stuff
because
there.
even the Browns got in on it and it was like, this feels weird, and it was the Lions' locker room with all the Brown stuff in it. So that was pretty good, but it was cool. I hate bringing this up, but this goes back to our thing. If you're going to build a new stadium, Buffalo, we know you've been talking about a new stadium because we talked about it on this show. You get a roof.
Think about getting a roof. I
if
know you
can't-
like your outdoor stadium.
And I get it was also a safety hazard for fans. I get that, but at the same time, if you know that that's the kind of weather that could happen, put a roof on your stadium. I know some fans might hate it. Like, we don't want a dome. We want to play outdoors all the time. Well, here you go. Here's some of the consequences to that.
Yeah,
or at least play in that weather. You know what? This is your stadium. Deal with it.
Well, yeah, Buffalo fans, how much did you appreciate being inside in a dome stadium this past weekend, where you could take your jacket off, where you weren't freezing your butt off? It's a pretty nice experience, isn't it? I didn't think that Lions fans would go for that, but when you're out there in Detroit in December, it's really nice to get out of the cold, go into that stadium, have your seat, get your nachos, get your hot dog, whatever you want, sit back and enjoy the game.
Call me a homer, but I do love
in
Ford
decent weather.
Field. Yep, it's great. And something else about this that was cool, then we'll move on because we're spending a lot of time on the Bills here.
Yeah.
But the fact that local Buffalo citizens helping out like the players who had all their vehicles snowed in so they could get to the airport to get to Ford Field, So that was great seeing just a bunch of average Joes, with their snow throwers and their shovels, 5-6 people at a time helping these guys, get unburied from the snow that just pounded them. So that was great. It was a great story. I think Bills fans are great, even though I don't understand the fascination with breaking tables. But hey, you know what? You do you. And we'll see you on Thursday. And your opponent this week, the Detroit Lions, as we transition and keep going through the scores real fast. The Lions are on a winning streak. Never thought I'd say that this year. Ain't
winning
gonna lie.
streak? What is that? We don't know what that is here.
I'll tell you what a winning streak is. Apparently, that's when you string together 3 or more consecutive victories.
I don't.
I believe that is when it becomes a streak.
I don't understand the words that are coming out of your mouth.
Well, let's see. They beat the Green Bay Packers 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, lovely.
They beat the Chicago Bears last weekend.
Also lovely.
And now this week they beat the 7-3 surprise New York Giants, who a lot of people are considering a playoff team. But then to have the 3-6 Detroit Lions come into town and pretty much run that game the way they wanted to run it.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some moments here and there where the Giants got some great plays and kind of started to make it look like it would get interesting. But the Lions defense, which has been the 32nd ranked defense for most of this season, showed up and held the Giants to only 18 points.
Yeah. That's phenomenal.
It was an incredible. The Lions are 3-0 also since trading T.J. Hawkinson. 3-0 since firing defensive backs coach Aubrey Pleasant. I almost said Aubrey Plaza, but that's the actress from Parks and Rec. But unbelievable. We watched the game together, that last one.
Oh, yeah.
We were both on the couch just dumbfounded and tense and unsure what to do with ourselves.
And they're also
we were waiting for that last quarter for the big meltdown that would normally happen.
Yeah, really.
And it didn't happen. And it felt good for a change. 3 straight wins, which is the first time Detroit's done that since 2017.
Yep.
When they started the season, I believe 5-0. I want to say 2 straight road wins since that same 2017 season. Last week, the Lions, Dan Campbell got his first road win as a head coach. Now to have 2 back-to-back, incredible. Now they have the daunting task of facing the Buffalo Bills at home on Thanksgiving on a national audience, which just might be the game everybody might tune into because the Lions are interesting now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who'd have thought it? The Lions are interesting now.
They played really well in the early part of the season, but they weren't winning any games. They were
and then they had a couple of duds.
30, over 30 points, 45 points in one game, and they were still losing. And now, that they're winning, people are surprised. Well, we've known early on that they had a decent offense. They could put up points. But
it was that defense. That defense has been the problem. And finally, for whatever reasons, rookies are showing up. Aiden Hutchinson looks like he could be the front runner for defensive player of the year at
Could
this
be.
point. He is the first defensive lineman, they said. What was it, in their first 10 games to have 2 interceptions and 5 sacks? Like,
Yeah.
he's the first player to ever do that. Like,
Yeah.
and that interception he had in that game was not an easy
No, that was
interception to
that was a
snag.
great interception.
Oh.
He went up. It was like behind him a little bit. He had to spin around
It
to
looked
get it.
like
and then he took off running.
it looked like a classic Megatron style jump up and get that ball out of the air kind of play. Give me a poster of Aiden Hutchinson doing that. That was incredible.
Well, I made the comment. Seeing somebody that big. He dropped into coverage, and it kind of
He
reminded
did.
me
It
of.
seemed like such a smart play.
It kind of reminded me of Night Train Lane. He played defensive back, and he's as big as Aiden Hutchinson, and he's back there intercepting passes for the Lions and doing that. That was an incredible game. And the Lions are also 3-0 since Peyton Manning and Jeff Daniels aired that thing where they were exercising the curse of Bobby Lane at Ford
They'll
Field.
take all that credit. Peyton Manning will take all that credit.
Yeah, I want to hear him on the next Manning cast to take credit for
we'll see
the
if-
Lions turnaround.
If the Lions get the 4th straight game, I will definitely be very curious to see what Peyton Manning's got to say then.
Yeah,
But,
that
all
would
right.
be the icing on the cake.
All right, we've spent enough time on the Bills and the Lions.
Yep.
We'll talk plenty about them next week as they play each other. But let's continue. We got a lot to fly through here. The Commanders defeated the Texans 23-10.
Yep.
The Philadelphia Eagles squeaked by the Indianapolis Colts 17-16. How about those Colts getting tough all of a sudden with a head coach that nobody gave any?
Jeff Saturday almost 2-0 as a head coach. Come on.
I mean, yeah.
What is going on there?
I don't know,
get
but
that.
clearly, maybe they clearly knew something we didn't. The New York Jets and the New England Patriots had a very interesting game. This game was 3-3 with 24 seconds left in that game before a game-winning punt return for a touchdown.
That was a great play.
And it was great. It was a great play. The New England Patriots, come out with a victory. But the interesting stat from this game that I thought was interesting, in the second half, the New York Jets, and let me see if I can find it real quick. I don't know if you saw this at all. How many yards they averaged in the second half? Did you see this at all?
No, the Jets.
The Jets.
I did not see that.
Okay.
Stat.
The New York Jets averaged 2.7 inches of offense per play during the second half of their loss to the Patriots.
How do you get 2.5 inches on a play?
Well, let's see. You take the number of plays they had, the number of yards they ended up getting, and you average 2.7 inches.
Wow.
I've seen a few highlights from this game. It was incredible. Some other notes. 9 completions for the Jets on Sunday. 9. 10 punts.
Wow.
Negative 21 yards passing in the second half. Zach Wilson at the podium saying he wasn't at fault and that the defense shouldn't be mad at him. Well, I think the defense is mad at him. Here's a great. Did you see this highlight? Watch this one real quick. I'll show you on my phone. Zach Wilson, wide open guy.
Oh, threw it over his head.
Oh my gosh, that was just the kind of day that the Jets had. And boy, yeah, when I saw the 2.7 inches per play, oof, that's gonna be one of the ugliest games ever in the NFL.
You could be right.
All right. And then, my screen's got to refresh here while I pull up the scores to the Saints-Rams. The Saints defeated the Rams 27-20. Matthew Stafford came back for this game, but apparently left again with another concussion injury.
That's concerning.
The Rams fall to 3-7 on the season, while the Saints improved to 4-7. Are the Rams done?
I don't know if Stafford's out for the rest of the year.
Cooper Kupp's already hurt.
Yeah, I would say
They both might be shut down for the rest of the year, which is good for us Lions fans because the Rams currently hold the number 6 overall pick.
And that's our pick.
And we get that pick from them.
Right, yeah.
And the Lions can keep winning and still get that top 10 spot.
Yeah, right now we've got 2, top 10 picks right now?
I think the Lions got out of the top 10.
Okay.
But they definitely
we
2
have
first-round
first-round picks.
One being the Rams. So if the Rams keep losing and the Lions keep winning, that's gravy for us.
So we can either get a couple of good picks or
Trade up
both
of them
trade
for
up
something.
and get the one really good player.
Trade both of them for Lamar Jackson.
I don't know about that.
I would be okay with that. The Oakland... oh boy, I did it. The Las Vegas Raiders defeated the Denver Broncos on a walk-off touchdown in overtime, 22-16. How about that? the stat from this game that I love is that on the season now, Russell Wilson continues to throw less touchdowns on the season than he has bathrooms in his home. I don't know if you saw this. My buddy sent me this. There's a chart out there on Twitter somebody has been keeping track of that Russell Wilson and his wife Sienna's house, I believe that's her name. I forget her name, but they have 12 bathrooms in their home.
Oh.
And they were tracking to see when Russell Wilson would throw just as many, if not more, touchdown passes than he has bathrooms in his home. And Russell Wilson is currently still stuck at 7 touchdown passes because he didn't throw a touchdown pass in this game, I believe. So it's a great little chart. If you get a chance to see it, I'll have to find that and send that to you.
Somebody needs to get a life.
You know who needs to get a life? Jerry Jones, because now he won't stop bragging about his stupid Cowboys, who defeated the Minnesota Vikings 40-3, a Minnesota Vikings team that everybody was riding high off of last week, thinking this was the best team in the league. Then all of a sudden, Dallas came up to Minnesota and kicked them in the teeth. I don't know where this performance came from, but that means that is the third NFC North team to lose this week.
Yeah, Detroit was the only
one to win. So good for us. But Dallas, that just shows like any of these teams now.
That score really surprised me.
Oh,
40-3. I mean, I thought
Minnesota couldn't do anything.
Yeah, I thought it would be a close game. Maybe Dallas would win by a few points, or maybe
Minnesota in the picks.
would win. Whatever. But to go up there and just beat them that bad, that was
bad,
amazing.
The Cincinnati Bengals in their all-white uniforms, which I dig. Against the Steelers in their all-black uniforms, which I dig. Defeated the Steelers 37-30. I didn't really catch much of this game other than seeing that they wore those great uniforms. It was a great uniform combo. Then on Sunday Night Football, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs got the victory over the Los Angeles Chargers 30-27. Those Chargers are good. But the Chiefs are just a little bit better.
I watched the end of that game. I think did I fall asleep during that game?
You probably
I'm not sure.
did.
But yeah, I was awake for the end, and just the way Mahomes brought him back with like 2 minutes to go and just marched him right down the field.
He is something else.
Phenomenal.
Him and Andy Reid, that combination, their play calling and Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator. I don't know how they do it. That three-headed just football monster they got there. And of course, Travis Kelce. It helps having Travis Kelce out there.
And Mahomes and Andy Reid make some great TV commercials.
Oh, they do. It's great. That's up there with Peyton Manning. Like they make some great commercials. And then finally, we had a game in Mexico City last night as the Arizona Cardinals fell to the San Francisco 49ers 38-10. I caught just the beginning of this game. It looked like the Cardinals couldn't get much going. They had backup quarterback Colt McCoy in for injured Kyler Murray, who was probably at home playing Modern Warfare, the video game.
Don't know what any of that is.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you don't. It's fine. Call of Duty: Modern Warfare. It's a military game. Right. But anyway, the Niners come out with a 38-10 victory.
I watched a good share of this game. I was kind of back and forth.
A little bit disappointed there was no Manning cast, but I understand.
Right, yeah. But the halftime show, they had a performance by I don't want to say a mariachi band. There's a name for it. No, they had like 20 guys on stage. They had a guitar player, bass guitar, 12-string guitar. They had an accordion player. They had let's see. A marching band tuba player on stage. They had some trombones, some what do you call those? Euphoniums, I think. I mean, and they had cornets and trombones, and it was just. I'm just not used to seeing that. I know that's these people were probably huge stars in Mexico, but it was just shocking to see that as a halftime performance. I mean, I liked it, but it's just not the sort of thing you see. The minute I saw the accordion, I'm like, oh my God, is it Weird Al? No. It's not Weird Al.
But yeah,
that was fun.
So that'll do it for the NFL scores, and we are literally 29 and a half minutes into the show, and we have not gotten out of the scores yet. So I don't know.
We still got college to talk about.
You got college scores to talk through, so I don't know if you want to skip a bunch or if you can fly through these because we got so much more to get to today.
We'll just pick up and we'll just keep on going. All right. Is in college scores. We're going to start with the FBS level. This was week 12 in the FBS. Number 1 ranked Georgia over Kentucky 16-6. Number 2 Ohio State over Maryland 43-30. Number 3, Michigan over Illinois, 19-17, thanks to a Jake Moody 35-yard field goal with 9 seconds left in the game.
What an ending to that game.
Wow.
Oh.
Yep. We
On
were
the edge of my
watching most
seat,
that.
and then we saw the highlights of this next game, too.
Yep. Number 4, TCU over Baylor, 29-28, another squeaker.
A last-second
top
field
four.
goal that they had no timeouts left. They ran one play, and then as the clock ran, with no timeouts left,
Yep.
they were swapping guys on and off the field.
They ran the kick
and
crew on there. And
they got that kickoff with like a second to spare, and won it as time expired. Unbelievable for the number 3 and number 4 teams to hopefully stay intact. We'll find out from the college rankings tonight what they'll do, but I'm pretty sure this will stay.
I think they will.
Especially since what happened to number 5.
Yeah, what I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. 6 upsets to talk about in the top 25. South Carolina upset number 5 Tennessee 63-38.
They scored so much they ran out of fireworks, they said.
That's not an upset, that's a beatdown. Number 12 Oregon upset number 10 Utah 20-17.
Not a big one, but 2 spots, but that's still a good little upset.
Georgia Tech upset number 13 North Carolina 21-17. Unranked Arkansas upset number 14 Ole Miss 42-27. Oklahoma upset number 22 Oklahoma State 28-13. And Louisville upset number 24 North Carolina State 24-10. We also had some action going on this past week. On Wednesday night, it was our Western Michigan Broncos over Central Michigan, 21-10. This game was on ESPNU, and I watched most of this.
And it was in a blizzard.
Yeah, it's like, are they playing in Buffalo? What is going on? Because
I saw one picture. Somebody made a snowman in the stands.
Yes, that was awesome. It looked like it had arms, it had legs, it was sitting there, and it had a baseball hat on, and it was awesome. The fans were having fun up there in Mount Pleasant.
You know what? Snow games look so cool on TV, but then you have to remember that's got to be absolutely miserable for everybody involved.
Yeah. And there were times when it was snowing so hard you couldn't see the fans in the stands almost, and then it would stop, and then it would start up again, and oh man, what a wild night. And Western Michigan came from behind to this game was like 7-7 most of the game, and it was in the fourth quarter. They both scored late, and Western hung on to win, so I was very happy with that.
What's the name of that trophy that they go back and forth with?
The Cannon Trophy.
The Cannon Trophy.
I think, between the two schools, yep. Okay, in the military academies, it was Navy over number 20 University of Central Florida 17-14. Air Force defeated Colorado State 24-12, and Army beat UConn 34-17. All right, now we're going to go to some scores at the lower levels, and I got 3 random scores from each division. It was the playing of the 138th edition of the Harvard-Yale game this weekend. I caught some of this game, too.
Caught the tail end of that one.
Yep, Yale over Harvard 19-14, giving themselves at least a share of the Ivy League title. And it was also the playing, I never saw any highlights from this one, but it was the 158th edition of Lehigh versus Lafayette, and Lafayette beat Lehigh 14-11 in that game. And in one other FCS score, it was Fordham over Colgate 52-38. Now we go down to Division II, where they are in their playoffs at the Division II level. This was the first round of the playoffs. Number 2 Ferris State over Davenport 41-7. It was Pittsburgh State shutting out the University of Indianapolis 35-0, and Slippery Rock upset number 3 Assumption 17-14. And then Division III is also starting their playoffs. They're in their first round this past weekend. It was Alma College from here in Michigan over Mount St. Joseph 41-21. Mount Union shutting out Salisbury 51-0. That made me hungry when I read that. And Utica over Susquehanna 17-10. Now we go to the NAIA level. Again, first round playoff action there. Number 1 Morningside of Iowa over number 16 Arizona Christian 35-18. Number 2 Grandview of Iowa over number 15 Carroll of Montana 17-14. And number 12 Kaiser of Florida upset number 4 Bethel of Tennessee 27-17. We move down to the junior college level. There were only 2 games this week. Their regular season is coming to an end, but it was the number 5 Snow College Badgers improving to 8-2 by defeating the number 7 Lackawanna team 30-7. Snow College just missed out on the playoffs because they only have 4 teams in their playoff, and they wound up as number 5 this year. So they'll get a bowl game, but I looked to see what the bowl game schedule was, and they have not come out with that yet. So we'll hear about that in the coming weeks and days. And also at the junior college level, it was Kilgore over New Mexico Military, 39-12. They won the Southwest Junior College Football Conference Championship with that win. So congratulations to them. All right, going to move up to Canada. There was college football going on up there. For the East Championship, it was the Mitchell Bowl, where the Laval Red and Gold defeated the Western Ontario Mustangs 27-20. And in the West Championship, the UTEC Bowl, it was the Saskatchewan Huskies over the St. Francis Xavier X-Men 36-19. So that sets up a matchup of the Saskatchewan Huskies versus the Laval Red and Gold in the 57th Vanier Cup. That game's going to be played in London, Ontario this coming Saturday, November 26th. So, like I said last week, it's strange that the Vanier Cup is after the Grey Cup. Normally they're the same weekend, but that's just the way it is this year, I guess. And that is it for this week's World of Football scoreboard. Is the show over yet?
I don't know, but we're hitting the 36-minute mark, 36 and a half minutes. Boy, oh boy.
Well, let's just continue with a few news items that I found. I'm sure you haven't seen this. The Super Bowl I championship ring that was formerly owned by guard Fuzzy Thurston has been sold at auction for a record $216,000. There have been a total of 5 Super Bowl I rings sold at auction over the years. Packers Hall of Fame linebacker David Robinson's ring sold for $174,000 this past August. The other 3 Green Bay players whose rings have been sold at auction are tackle Steve Wright, guard Jerry Kramer, and linebacker Ray Nitschke. Nitschke's ring is going up for auction again in December and will most likely set another record for a Green Bay Super Bowl I ring.
Dang.
To tell you the truth, I'm surprised that they're not going for more.
Right.
You know, Super Bowl I, I mean, that's such an iconic game, the first ever Super Bowl, and,
Right.
and their rings. You have the one diamond in the middle. Nothing like today's rings.
Right.
You know, it's very simple, but the significance of that game and those players, you know, Ray Nitschke and David Robinson and Fuzzy Thurston, you know, all those guys, they're such icons. And to own one of those rings is something else. And I'm just surprised that, you know, $216,000 is a record. That's going to be broken for sure, and it's just going to keep going up and up because everybody wants to be a part of the Packers for a Super Bowl win.
We do have one little breaking news item from the NFL. Not really a big thing, but Panthers quarterback Sam Darnold will get his first start of the season Sunday against the Broncos. He's been dealing with some injuries and stuff, so we'll see if he can help the struggling Panthers out. They've really had a quarterback carousel there the last couple of months.
Yeah, it's not surprising. If your team's not doing well, you may as well make a switch at quarterback. Could help.
We'll see. He was a big signing last year, and hasn't really gotten a whole lot of playing time right now. So we'll see. Let's see what happens. But that's like the big NFL breaking news as of right now.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Let's see. Got a little USFL news here. Hub cities for the South Division will be Birmingham and Memphis. So you're going to have Birmingham, Memphis, Houston, and New Orleans playing out of those 2 cities this coming season instead of, you know, all 8 teams being in one city like Birmingham last year. But the surprising thing here is that Detroit is being talked about as a possible hub city for the North Division, which includes, of course, the Michigan Panthers, Pittsburgh Maulers, Philadelphia Stars, and New Jersey Generals. A couple of locations they're talking about, which I kind of predicted this. Excuse me.
the campus of Eastern Michigan University and the Detroit Lions' own Ford Field are being considered, as Randy, for some reason, always has to cough uncontrollably during the podcast. Why he can't schedule those for any other time is beyond me.
Eastern Michigan University, that's where the USFL's Detroit Wheels played.
Oh, and it's also where you got a kidney stone that one time when I was in
true.
marching band.
Yep, you marched there.
What a great story that is, everybody. I'm just sitting there marching out on the field with the Eastern Michigan marching band while with my high school band.
It was band day that day.
It was band day that day, minding my own business, and find out my father had to go to the hospital because he had a kidney stone.
No, I didn't go to the hospital.
Didn't they get an ambulance for you or something?
No. I just toughed it out, and Luckily, somebody had some.
Prune juice?
Well, let's just say a prescription drug that I was able to take.
Vicodin?
I didn't have my Vicodin on me, but somebody else had
Uh-huh.
one, so I got one of those. But yeah, that was pretty scary. Your brother Aaron didn't know what to do because I'm in the bathroom, I'm out of the bathroom, I'm back in the bathroom.
For a minute there, I thought I was going to have to drive your van all the way home. And I was like, I barely just got my license and I got to drive. Well, I was like 17 maybe, so I just got my license. I was expecting to drive all the way from Eastern Michigan and can't ride the school bus with my friends.
Yeah. But no, it was when they started talking about this, earlier in the week.
Yeah.
My first thought was, well, Ford Field would be the obvious place, but that's kind of a too big for a USFL.
I think
game.
it'd be too big.
They wouldn't draw. That
But it would actually, I think, probably too big for the crowds they would draw. But man, it'd be great for just some of the atmosphere and for having, and it's a dome, so none of your games are going to get canceled.
right.
So
But they're going to be playing, April to July or whatever.
true, but hey, how many games did they delay because of weather this last season? Remember, they had to delay a game for that. So I say, if you can make it work, make it Ford Field. I would love to go see a USFL game at Ford Field. But hey, even if they pick an Eastern, even if they pick a Western Michigan University,
Yeah, we talked about that. I mean, they're the Michigan Panthers. They can be anywhere. They could be.
They can have 3 hub cities in Michigan. Shoot,
Yeah.
play a game at the Big House.
But I did think that Eastern Michigan would be a viable location because.
Or what about Wayne State?
And Wayne State was another one I thought about.
Saginaw Valley over there.
Central Michigan up in Mount Pleasant.
Well, that's a bit too far. I
might
think.
be a little bit too far, but yeah.
Especially after they lost to Western, nobody wants to go up there.
So I don't know if they're just going to have one hub city for the North where all the teams play, or if they're going to find another one.
To me, it would make sense to have somewhere in Philadelphia and somewhere in
Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, they're not too far from each other. I mean, they're in the same state. And then you've got New Jersey. So I don't know. Logistically,
We'll see. But hey,
could be tough.
We even thought Canton could still be a hub city. That's where they had the championship game. Maybe that could be a hub city.
Yeah, they're not using that all
If
that time.
If the Panthers were playing there, shoot, guess we can go back down to Canton. That's not a bad drive.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, I would love to do that. And if they do put Detroit as a hub city, I would definitely go take in some games.
We'd probably go, yeah.
See all 4 of the teams.
As long as
up
the
here.
team was a little better than they were last year.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So yeah, so we'll just have to see what happens in the coming days, whether they actually do decide to go with Detroit. I'm sure they will, but it's just a matter of where in Michigan are they going to put a team. So we shall see. All right, Peyton's Places, Season 3, Episode 4 on ESPN+. I watched that yesterday. This was another great episode. This whole season has been really good so far this year.
Even the clips I saw from it seemed great. I think I watched the opening with you.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, and it starts out, the episode was called Dream Catchers, and it starts out with Peyton talking to his son, Marshall, in the kid's bedroom, just like in The Princess Bride, the way that movie starts out. So they had a lot of Princess Bride references, and that was kind of fun. But Peyton was talking about how he would love to have thrown some passes to a couple of different receivers, and one was Lance Allworth, who we talked about in our greatest nicknames ever. He was known as Bambi. He played for the San Diego Chargers of the AFL, and he actually met up with Lance Allworth on a beach in San Diego, and they talked, and they went inside some place and looked at a bunch of film of him playing, and that was really cool. Some of that stuff I'd never seen before. And then the other one that he had was Calvin Johnson, Megatron. So he was back at Ford Field again, throwing passes to Calvin Johnson on the floor of Ford Field. So this was just another great episode. A lot of interesting information, a lot of great clips from these 2 wide receivers. I did not know that Lance Allworth was a running back in college. Had never played wide receiver before, but when he was drafted by the San Diego Chargers, Al Davis was in charge of it, and Davis wanted him to be a wide receiver, and he didn't take to it right away. He was terrible at first, but man, did he overcome that and become just a great Hall of Fame wide receiver. So yeah, check out Peyton's Places, Season 3, Episode 4, now streaming on ESPN+. Now, let's see, Arena Football TV on YouTube. I did not see a new episode.
The last
today.
video looks like it was that Predators Rattlers game posted
that we talked
13
about
days
last
ago.
week. Yeah.
So no content recently, but I mean, shoot, I'm just scrolling through here trying to find maybe something that just sticks out, like that people could go back and check out. How about a 1999 season game between the Orlando Predators and the Grand Rapids Rampage. It was week 10 there. Go check that one out there. That'll be the one we highlight.
I would suggest that maybe they've just got all these games thrown out there. They should make folders or whatever
probably do
for each team.
Randy,
like if you want all the Grand Rapids Rampage, you click on one thing.
I'm going to stop you right there. They have that.
Oh, do they?
You just have to find it. They legit have a folder for the Cleveland Thunderbolts, the Anaheim Piranhas, the Gladiators of New Jersey, the Texas Terror. And going through and
see, it was a great idea. They've already taken
maybe not for as I'm scrolling down, get more loaded up. Yeah, they got a bunch. And I keep scrolling, looking for the Grand Rapids Rampage one. Right there, Grand Rapids Rampage. There's 38 videos in this folder. Wow. It says
cool.
Viewing the full playlist. Yeah, they got 38 videos for the Grand Rapids Rampage.
Okay.
So I can never complain again to them that there's not enough Grand Rapids Rampage games on there.
Okay, well, let's move on. Let's see. Today's birthdays. This is interesting. I learned something looking this up here. Have you ever heard of Hacksaw Reynolds?
I've heard of Hacksaw Ridge, a great film by Mel Gibson.
No,
but
no, Hacksaw Reynolds. Linebacker Jack Hacksaw Reynolds turned 75 years old today. He played his college football at Tennessee. He was the 22nd overall pick in the 1970 NFL by the Los Angeles Rams. He played 15 NFL seasons. He was with the Rams from 1970 to 1980. He was with the San Francisco 49ers from 81 to 84, and he won 2 Super Bowls with the 49ers. How he got the nickname? In 1968, while playing in college, the number 3 ranked Tennessee team lost to Archie Manning and the number 18 Ole Miss team. Reynolds was so upset after the loss that he needed a way to vent his frustrations. He took a hacksaw to a 1953 Chevy pickup truck. And here's a little story from the LA Times that I found, where Hacksaw Reynolds said, "I went to Kmart and bought the cheapest hacksaw they had, along with 13 replacement blades. I cut through the entire frame and the drive shaft, all the way through the car. It took me 8 total hours. I broke all 13 blades. When I finished, I got one guy from the dorm, Ray Nettles, to witness it. The next day, we took the rest of our friends from the dorm up the hill to see it, and when we got there, both halves of the car were gone, with just the 13 broken blades lying on the ground. To this day, I don't know what happened to that car." So, yeah, I always thought it was a Volkswagen. For some reason, I had it in my mind that he cut a Volkswagen in half, but here it says a 53 Chevy pickup truck. But that's the legend of Hacksaw Reynolds. He was so mad after a loss in college, he took a hacksaw and he cut a car in half, or a truck. So I don't know how we missed that one on our recent list of great nicknames for players. Hacksaw
I blame the
Reynolds.
person who put that list together. It's time to start making a new list.
Yeah. Well, we did 40 of them, so I guess that would have been 41.
Well, there you go. Hey, start building up some as you come across some new ones. There you go. Part 9 could be right around the corner.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Whatever. All right. Obituaries. We have one this week. This is where we take a moment to honor those who've made the world of football a better place. This week's obituary is that of Dwight Garner, a running back and kick returner in the NFL for only one season, has passed away at the age of 58. Garner played college football at California. He signed as a free agent and played for the Washington Redskins in 1986. In college, he was part of The Play on November 20th, 1982, when the Stanford Marching Band came onto the field thinking that the game was over. Garner made the third of the 5 lateral passes for California on the kickoff return that scored the game-winning touchdown to beat Stanford.
One of the greatest, most bizarre plays. If you've never seen a football game and, say you just got a basic grasp and you see that, that's something else.
Yeah. And then I guess from what I was reading, a lot of people said that they thought that his knee was down before he got the pass off. He denied that, for the rest of his life. My knee was not down. It was a legal pass because everybody thought the game was over. That's why the band came running out on the field. But the officials didn't call it that way, and they let it go, and they scored and won the game.
It became one of the greatest plays in football history.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, it's The play.
Yep. All right. Any other breaking news before we get into this week's history lesson?
Nope. I think you're good to intro your history lesson.
Okay.
What do you got this week for us?
This actually was your idea.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of those.
I took you up on this one. You finally had a good idea for once.
Oh, finally.
And this is the story of 6 times that NFL games have been moved due to weather since the year 2000.
Oh, kind of like because what happened with Buffalo this past
exactly.
week. Oh, interesting. I'm glad I came up with this idea. Okay, I'll roll the clip.
This past weekend, the Buffalo Bills played their game against the Cleveland Browns at Ford Field in Detroit due to a monster snowstorm in Buffalo. The Bills won the game 31-23. Since 2000, there have been 5 other games that have also been moved due to inclement weather. In 2021, the approach of Hurricane Ida to New Orleans caused the Saints game with the Packers to also be moved. The Saints made arrangements to play their game in Jacksonville for a couple of reasons. They knew that Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers had trouble winning games in Florida, and the hot and humid weather conditions in Jacksonville would work in their favor. The plan worked as the Saints beat the Packers 38-3. In 2014, the Bills also had to move their home game with the New York Jets because of a mega snowstorm. The game was played at Ford Field in Detroit, and tickets to the game were free. A crowd of 56,044 showed up to see the Bills defeat the Jets 38-3. In 2010, the fabric roof of the Metrodome in Minneapolis collapsed, forcing the Vikings to move their home game against the New York Giants to, you guessed it, Detroit. The Giants ended up winning the game 21-3. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina decimated the city of New Orleans. The Saints' Week 2 game against the New York Giants was supposed to be their home opener, but it was moved to the Meadowlands instead. The Giants won the game 27-10. The rest of the Saints' home schedule that season was also played at alternate locations. 3 games were played at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, and 4 games were played at LSU's Tiger Stadium. In 2003, the San Diego Chargers were forced to move a Monday night football game against the Miami Dolphins due to smoke from wildfires in the area. The parking lot at Qualcomm Stadium was being used as an evacuation center, and air quality was a concern. The game was moved to Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona, where the Dolphins won the game 26-10. Of the 6 NFL games that have been moved due to weather since 2000, 2 games were played on Monday night, and 3 of them have been played in Detroit. Who would have guessed that the Motor City would become a destination for displaced football teams since the beginning of the 21st century?
The amount of side-eye I got before rolling that clip was palpable. I'm sure you all could feel that. But interesting, yeah, when as soon as this happened, as soon as it went down that this game was getting moved, I immediately thought of the Vikings game that got moved to Detroit after the roof collapse.
Right. And I remember 2014, the Bills came to Detroit again, to have a game against the Jets.
See, that game I vaguely remember. I remember the Bills putting their logo and stuff on the field because I went to YouTube and looked that up. There's a bunch of clips of people at that game. I forgot that's not the first time the Bills have played in Detroit. So just an interesting little thing. And then you were, a couple of the other ones you mentioned, like the San Diego one, I vaguely recall.
I had forgotten about that, but that's true. They had all those wildfires going on in Southern California, and they were getting close to San Diego, and the air quality was bad, the smoke everywhere, and they moved that game to Tempe, Arizona. I'd forgotten that they moved it to Arizona, but this was interesting looking these back up again.
Sorry you had to take a break from your nicknames, but I just thought it was an appropriately timed history lesson that you might actually have fun. Sometimes I know what's good for you. I know it's usually the parents who know what's good for their kids, but sometimes the kids know what's good for their parents. Someday I'm going to be putting you into a home, and I'll know when to do that. But right now, I just know that you need a good history lesson to find. And this was one I figured, you know what? Randy needs to waste his weekend and do a bunch of research and figure out this topic that I came up with at the top of my head that I don't have to do any work for.
I wrote this all up this morning. I wasn't doing this all weekend. I literally found an article and I wrote it up this morning.
Oh, you wrote that article, or you're plagiarizing somebody else's piece?
Well, it's research.
Regurgitating is what I call it, sir.
I'm restating the facts in a fun and entertaining way, in my own style.
Oh, I'm entertained that you're dodging.
It's funny that you seem to know what's good for me sometimes when you don't know what's good for yourself sometimes.
Hey, that's why you get a girlfriend, because now she knows what's good for me. And if she's listening, I think I just scored some brownie points.
Well, your mom.
I can't believe that stopped you dead in your tracks.
Your mom's been the kick in the ass I've needed for 35 years, so yeah.
Oh, 35 years. That. Whoa, easy there, killer.
All right, we're going to move on to our upcoming events calendar now. This Saturday, not three big games, but...
there's a few big games this weekend, I'll tell you what.
This Saturday, November 26th, the 118th playing of Michigan-Ohio State
game
at OSU. You've got number 2 versus number 3.
Oh,
this is going to be a monster.
Well, depending,
game.
And they'll probably stay that way in the rankings too. So,
I don't
will
know.
the loser get knocked out of the playoffs for good, or can they both still stay eligible? I know the winner will make it to the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah,
but will we see the? I hope it's a close enough game so that either or, Michigan wins or loses.
Yeah.
Both of these teams can maybe go at it again. Hey, they let the SEC teams do it. Why can't the Big Ten do it again? You telling me a Michigan-Ohio State playoff game wouldn't be one of the highest-rated things on television? Let me run the college football playoff. I got it figured out.
And also this Saturday, the 26th, the 57th Vanier Cup up in Canada, London, Ontario to be precise. You're going to have Saskatchewan versus Laval for the College Football National Championship of Canada up there. And this is also the last weekend of the regular season at the FBS level. So we'll be getting our conference championship games the week after this, and then the bowl schedule will be
bunch
coming
of rivalry
out
games this weekend.
And we'll be gearing up for, I want to see this bowl and that bowl. And
college football winding down, but finally getting to, every week's usually a meaningful week, but we're starting to get to, let's see who the champions are. Let's figure this playoff thing out. Let's get to the next step.
And I say it's the end of the college football regular season, except for one game, which is the 122nd Army-Navy game, which is going to be played on Saturday, December 10th at 3 p.m. in Philadelphia. A couple others that I just added. Monday, January 9th, the College Football National Championship game at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. That stadium is everywhere. Everybody's going there for games.
$4 billion for a stadium. You better put it everywhere. It better get all the important stuff.
Yeah.
All the Taylor Swift concerts.
Yeah, if you can get a ticket. And finally, on our upcoming events calendar, Sunday, February 12th, Super Bowl 57 in Glendale, Arizona. And then, I even got into the fact that the XFL will be starting up in February, the USFL in April.
We got time to add those.
Oh, yeah.
I'm shocked you're going that far out.
So.
I was going to say, you went a little further than normal.
I know, but I'm just saying, it's never ending. That's why it's the world of football, because there's always something going on. Man, a couple of years ago, we never had a break in scores. Every week there was something. The minute the Super Bowl was over, the Indoor Football League kicked in the very next week, and so we had scores every week right up until the NFL started again and CFL in the summer. So that's why we're here. That's why we love it. I don't know if we're going to get a chance to take a break this year. Well, last year we took 5 weeks off and recuperated from the NFL season, but man, with the XFL starting up and how's that going to go?
Hey, we'll see. I threw out the idea that we could find replacement hosts. One week it could be me and somebody else. The next week it could be you and somebody else. So we can still fit in some breaks.
We'll see.
We'll figure it out. We'll get some good guest stars. People you might be familiar with. Hey, there is such technology as Zoom or whatever. We can start calling in. Shoot, you should get Tim Lester to co-host a show with you. That'd be great. Western Michigan head coach Tim Lester.
We've had him on the show before.
Especially with him being an XFL alum. You could get him to go through some XFL games with you. There you go. Just going to throw that out there. See, I'm an idea machine.
All right. Anything else before we bring this show to an end?
I am good. No breaking news, but like we always say, Tuesday's the day where all the news breaks, and it's usually as soon as we hit stop on the recording. But yeah, college football rankings tonight.
Yep.
I don't imagine much of a change, but all that setting up the Michigan-Ohio State game this weekend. Very, very excited for that game. I just want it to be a good game. I being from Michigan, we obviously root for Michigan.
Right.
But I'm not a diehard like my brother-in-law, so I could go either way. As long as it's a great game.
Well, I'm always a Michigan fan when it comes to Michigan and Ohio State.
Right.
Other times,
I mean, I'm rooting for Michigan, but
Sure.
I do want just a great game. Like, give me a memorable game. Like last year, Michigan blew them out. Every year before that, it's Ohio State blowing Michigan out. So I don't know. I just want a good game. Give me a good game. And then Thanksgiving games. We got Thanksgiving games this week too.
Yeah, all 16 teams are in action this weekend.
Yeah.
There are no bye weeks for anybody this week. There are a few more coming up in their schedule, but not this week. So everybody's playing this weekend.
Be on the lookout for our picks video. Going to try to get that up as soon as possible because of I got a very busy break coming up. So.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can like the World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo, where we post a lot of unique stories and videos and highlights from all over the world of football. You can also find our Twitter account, which is at TWOF Kalamazoo. Again, probably more links shared there than anywhere. And enjoy it while it lasts. We don't know how long Twitter's going to last now, apparently. Let's see, what else? I'm kind of trying to do something here on the fly. At the
New episodes of this podcast are
I can read my bit. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now on Amazon Music.
Amazon Music, yep. We just had that set up the other day, and all the episodes are there. So, if
that's what you use.
I was going to ask my brother, who has an Alexa thing in his house, to have him say, Alexa, play This Week in the World of Football, and see if it came up on his
you probably could
device there. I don't know.
Have him put you on speakerphone and just do it yourself.
Well, when we go over to his house on Thanksgiving, we'll have him do that.
And then also you can find our podcast on YouTube. That is where we post the full audio version of the podcast. Our channel is The World of Football Kalamazoo. Please subscribe, rate, review, give us a thumbs up on any and all videos you guys feel like. We love talking to people, so feel free to comment on them, especially the picks videos where we put you on the show if you come in and you put the picks in time.
Yep.
So as soon as we get that up, make your picks, everybody.
Yep.
And other than that, come be a part of the football conversation.
We got a lot of football conversations going on here. And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two guys sitting across from each other right now. Until next time, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm Adam Snow.
And we'll see you all next week. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.